Well, so what is the very latest with this TARP tango that is being danced on Capitol Hill? I'm joined by Democratic Congresswoman Gwen Moore of Wisconsin and Republican Congresswoman Michele Bachmann of Minnesota, who both serve on the House Financial Services Committee. Congressman Bachmann, let me start off with you. We hear word that you and the other ranking Republican members of the House Financial Services Committee have submitted the letter that Peter talked about, the chair of the House Financial Committee, to Barney Frank, suggesting that they postpone the discussion and allow for appropriate amendments. Tell me why you did this.
We need to do this so that the American people have the right to have input on what is going to happen with the second tranche of the funds, the $350 billion funds, because last week the Democrats adopted a rules package which essentially put duct tape over the mouth of Republicans. We are without remedy on the amendment process. What we're trying to do is to actually open up the process, have transparency, bring accountability, because after all, this is the American people's money we're talking about. It's a lot of it, and we are committing the next generation to a lifetime of servitude to pay all of this money back. So we think we can at least have a little time to offer some amendments so we can make this a better bill.
Congressman Moore, have you heard from the ranking Democrat, the chair of the House Financial Services Committee, Barney Frank, as to whether or not he has taken this into consideration and decided to postpone this hearing today?
Good morning. And good morning, Congresswoman Bachmann.
Good morning.
I have not heard from Barney Frank that he intends to delay this. But I can tell you that many members, myself included, who voted for the first tranche, were very, very concerned about the money being spent appropriately. We're infuriated that the first tranche did not include provisions to help individual homeowners to stay in their homes. We're also very, very concerned that we've seen these golden parachutes and this terrible executive compensation not be reined in by the delivery of the first tranche. So my concern is that we put very strict and appropriate restrictions on how the tranche is actually used.
Congressman Bachmann, I imagine right now that when you hear the level of urgency coming out of President-elect Obama's top economic advisor, Lauren Summers, coming out and saying it needs to be approved urgently and imminently, does that sort of take you back to the way we felt back in November? I mean, do you think there's any credence to why it is that they're trying to get this done before Inauguration Day?
Well, we actually heard this since last January. It's been over a year of hearing that the sky is falling, that if we don't pass this spending an enormous sum of money, that all of a sudden all of the house of cards will fall. It's actually just the opposite. The more that government intervenes and the more money that government takes out of the productive private sector and puts into the public bureaucracy, at that point we're looking at a longer time until we can get back to prosperity. This is not a difficult formula to understand. If government would only grossly reduce the amount of capital gains tax, dramatically reduce the amount of corporate tax, and also make sure that the Bush tax cuts, the marginal tax rates, don't increase, that will bring us to a point of prosperity. We need to have lower tax rates to foster private investment spending and also innovation. That will get us to prosperity. We have seen through the living laboratory of the 1930s and the 1970s that massive government spending and intervention gets us nothing but hyperinflation.
Congressman Moore, let me go back to you. You know, look, the bottom line is that there appears to be this growing red flag that says we need the funds and we need the funds now. If you get the proper list of assurances, the proper list of due diligence coming out of Lauren Summers and Timothy Geithner, do you believe that members of Congress will pass this legislation? Or allow the release of the funds, I should say.
I think members of Congress will pass this legislation. I'll tell you why. We've just heard from Congressman Bachmann that we need innovation, that we need to allow the private sector to do its own thing. And I think that we are seeing the verdict the final verdict of that particular economic strategy. I mean, for too long, we have had perverse incentives in the market for greedy corporate raiders. We have seen unregulated markets, which not only have had an impact on our economy, but on the world economy. We've seen these mortgages, this mortgage meltdown, leach into other areas of the global economy. And so I think that it's fine and good to talk about being innovative, and we've seen that. We've seen these terrible market, these derivatives and other sorts of products that have now created a really global financial crisis. So I think that we have seen the importance of government intervening, appropriate regulation, transparency, and really promoting more economic democracy.
Yeah, accountability. All right, Congressman Moore and Bachmann, thank you very much, ladies, for joining us this morning.